All right, welcome to webinar on weather photography here at National Weather Service Goodland. My name's Brandon Vincent. I'm a lead forecaster here, and we'll begin in a couple minutes, about 30 after. Until then, here's a sort of a short video compilation of some of the cool weather we've experienced out here in western Kansas in 2021. I'll be back with you in a few minutes. All right, I'm back. So yeah, what you just saw was a like a 3-minute montage of a variety of the weather that we experience out here in western Kansas uh, throughout the year 2021. So we'll go ahead and get started with the presentation here. This presentation really just sort of loosely talking about weather photography. No real technical stuff in here. Just kind of a really an informal sort of conversation just about the weather photography. So we'll go ahead and get started. Oh yeah, that was maybe a year or two ago, that picture. I think there's like rime ice on the trees there. That's really pretty. All right, so when it comes, if you want to take pictures of the weather, really the first things that you want to think of are, all right, well, what do I want to take a picture of? And then, what type of camera do I have? Um, really, those two questions, you want to start with that for sure. Um, what type of cameras, right? There are a wide variety of cameras out there, tons of different cameras. I'm really going to focus primarily on smartphones because smartphones, like modern smartphones, they're like Swiss Army knives. They take pictures, a variety of different kinds of pictures, landscapes, panoramas, portraits. They take video. Many can do slow motion video, like 120, 240 frames a second, varying video qualities, 1080p, 4K. So, and what do we almost always have on us, in one way or another? Our smartphones, for better or worse. So a smartphone is a great go-to camera when it comes to capturing the weather, especially when there's like dynamic weather going on and uh, something just happens right in front of you. You almost always have a camera available. So we'll sort of stick to smartphones here for the most part. Now, I don't know. For me, when it comes to like taking pictures of the weather, it's like when I look at the sky and the landscapes around, it's mostly about, say you're driving and you're sort of looking at the sky as you go along. The things that draw my attention, the things that sort of pop, and I'm like, what's that? Or whoa, I've never seen that before. That's the kind of thing that really prompts me to want to maybe stop or get off an exit and try to take a picture. Um, or if I'm feeling wild, I guess holding my hand out the window. Although you can lose your phone that way. So really, you want to look for windows of opportunity. You can honestly there's almost every day there's something interesting in the sky to look at. And if you follow our social media feeds, Twitter and Facebook, see the videos and the pictures that we post, you can tell almost every day on the high plains there is something neat to see in the sky. And so almost every day you'll be able to find something if you just look. But some specific windows of opportunity include obviously sunrise and sunset. Yeah, we see a lot of those on our social media feed. Sunrise and sunset are very opportune times to get pictures. During the convective season, anytime thunderstorms are approaching or moving away or developing or dissipating, great times, great occasions to take pictures. Approaching thunderstorms, you can see a shelf cloud, lightning. Receding thunderstorms, you can often see mammatus on like the upshear anvil of storms as they're tracking away. And often that may be around sunset as well. So yeah, if you can combine some of these together, that's even better. Like sunset, receding thunderstorms, then you might get a rainbow too. During snow, after snow, really, there are many, many, many windows of opportunity when it comes to getting, like interesting pictures. Yeah, just think about it and really go based off of your experience. In your experience, when did the sky look pretty, or what caught your attention? That's the kind of thing I look for when I'm taking pictures. Um, so here's an example. Not weather per se, but it sort of plays into what I'm talking about here. So seemingly somewhat ordinary picture here. Sometimes the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is really just taking a closer look, investigating a little bit more. And in this case, there is something there, and that's a horned lizard. An extremely well camouflaged one. Unbelievable, actually. I was standing just like 2 feet from that thing, and I barely saw it. So sort of the point here is that on any given day, when you look at the sky, there are features like that you can that are there. It just takes poking around a bit, an active effort in looking at the sky. So here's some examples of what smartphones can do, which smartphones, again, they're quite versatile. Now it depends on which one you have and yada yada, how old is it, but modern smartphones, like stuff made within the last year or 2 or 3, are generally all capable of doing stuff like this. I believe this was on the morning of May 26th in 2021, I believe. Like a morning supercell. There's hail on the road. Can't remember what day that was. The 24th or 26th of May. I don't know. They all start to blend together because there's a lot of them out here. That's one of those stuck my arm out the window shots with a smartphone. fall in western Kansas. That's something I wanted to get, and you really have to look pretty hard for fall out here. You know, there was about 50 yards of fall in this picture. Like it was just inside this narrow strip of woods. Outside of that, it's high plains. Um, Here's an example of a panorama. Um, if you go through the options on your phone, whether you have a iPhone, Android, whatever it is, most phones, if you just dig into the options a bit, you'll figure out that you can do panoramas, you can change settings, and I would encourage you to try that. It's trial and error, really. It's trial and error. I mean, no one taught me. It was just brute trial and error. Another example, what smartphones can do. All right, so you may start noticing something here at one point. Well, we'll see. So, all right, now you're probably noticing something's going on there. So, when it comes to digital pictures, right, pictures you take with a digital camera, whether it's your phone or a DSLR or something else, there's quite a bit of software out there that will allow you to touch up, edit pictures. Adjust the contrast, lighting, highlights, all that stuff. But also, there's some really cool software out there that will let you essentially remove objects from the scene or even alter the scene. So in this case, like right now, you see these two orange, I don't know what those are out there. Let's just call them orange sticks. Let's go with that, orange sticks. And yeah, that's some digital wizardry right there. It's pretty clean. So you can also do stuff like that with pictures. And if you notice, when the mailbox goes away there, something else that goes away is the tracks in the snow. Hard to tell unless you look closely at a picture whether or not that's been done. So, something to keep in mind. It's another sort of tool in the tool bag when it comes to how you want your pictures to look. So this was a thunderstorm, I believe, in like 2019. And again, another example of how using some software to remove objects or alter the image, can be beneficial. I can see it either way, honestly. I have no preference on whether or not they're there. Just wanted to give a demonstration that that kind of thing can be done. And when you're looking at pictures in general, it's a good idea to keep that kind of thing in mind, that's something that people, will often do, typically for no reason other than like, there's this pole or this telephone line that's sitting right in the middle of the only shot I have of whatever's going on. Okay, so lightning. Lightning is an interesting one. If you want to get a picture of lightning, right? Just getting a straight picture of lightning can be quite difficult. Obviously, it's pretty fast, right? So one of the most practical way, if you just want to practically get a picture of lightning, use video. Video is essentially a bunch of pictures taken every second, right? That's what the frame rate is. So if it's 24 frames a second, that's like 24 pictures every second. Again, a lot of smartphones these days are capable of doing like 120 or 240 frames a second. So that means that they're essentially taking 120 or 240 pictures every second. So it gives you a lot more of a buffer when it comes to like maybe getting the lightning strike within one of those frames. So I would suggest trying that out. That's a great way to capture lightning, just to try to get a lightning shot, especially slow motion, and which would be the higher frame rates, like especially 240 frames a second. The cool thing about lightning is that yeah, there's a lot of light, so you don't have to worry about the high frame rate. Usually, if you use a high frame rate, you need a lot of light, or else it's going to look very dark. But never got to worry about that when it comes to lightning. And in this case, you can tell that this, if you look closely, you can tell that this was essentially a frame grab from a video. There's an artifact that's highlighted in the square there. You see those like horizontal lines that go from left to right and then sort of go down across the screen. It's a rolling shutter artifact, and it's sort of how most, I don't know, most digital cameras, unless they're really high end, take a picture essentially. It's like scan a bunch of lines from top to bottom, and if something's moving fast enough, then the top part of the image is actually older than the bottom part. So that's why the top part of this is brighter with the lightning, and the bottom part is less bright. It's because the as soon as the lightning struck the ground, that was at the very end of the picture essentially. So you'll see these kind of artifacts sometimes if you do video captures. Another example of what a smartphone can do, although in this case this was shot with an action camera. Same kind of deal though there. Just use a high frame rate, play around with the settings. Now, a smartphone can't do this. So first of all, what is this? All right, it's like, what is that? What am I looking at? So that's a Mirage, and we'll often see these on the horizon here at the Weather Service. And in reality, like if you were standing there looking at it, you would barely be able to see it. It's pretty small and on the horizon. So realistically, there's no way you can get a picture of it with a smartphone. It's just too distant. I've tried a number of times. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all. So for this picture, I used a DSLR camera. If you're not exactly sure what that is, look it up. There's plenty of information on exactly what they are, definition and all that. Going into that would be beyond the scope of what I'm talking about here. But really, if you're trying to take pictures of something that's far away and or small, and especially if it's both, you're going to need a telephoto lens. Otherwise, it just won't be visible. So a smartphone, here's another example. A smartphone can't do this, but a DSLR with a telephoto lens can. And in this case, no telescope necessary, which is kind of remarkable actually. You can see craters on the moon without a telescope. And this one, yeah, telescope's definitely necessary. That's Jupiter and a couple of its moons. Actually, that's a telescope with a DSLR camera attached to it, which is a sort of a complex kind of a beast. And the whole idea here really is that what interests you when you look at the sky? What do you personally find interesting? What's pretty to you? What grabs your attention? What do you get excited about? My suggestion would be look for that and try to take pictures of that. And it's just trial and error. It's a lot of trial and error. And that's another good thing about smartphones is that we almost always have them on hand. So it's very easy to practice taking pictures with a smartphone or taking video with smartphones. And have fun. Definitely have fun, because I think that shows in the end results of what you get, whether or not you're having fun. So that would be my advice on that. Now let me go back to one of these pictures here. All right. There it is, this one. All right. So I was thinking about this picture and I'm like, okay, I can't remember if this was sunrise or sunset. I can't remember. I don't know if it's sunrise or sunset. But I do know what direction I'm looking. In this picture, we're looking due north. All right. So if we're looking due north, and if you look at the radome, the white ball there on the radar, you'll notice that the right side of it is shinier than the left side. So the right side, or the east side, is more lit up, which from that, we can infer that was probably a sunrise, because the sun was probably over to the east for the radome to be lit that way. So that I'm making that point because whenever we get pictures, or anytime if you guys want to take pictures and send us pictures, that's why it's super important to let us know what direction you're looking when you take the picture. It's unbelievable how much information that conveys. Um, so you ever send us pictures, which we'd love to get, please send us pictures. Uh, if you can and you know what direction you're looking, include that information along with the time and your exact location, and that helps out considerably. So at this point, I think I'll go to any questions. If we have any questions, uh, not so far. God, you guys are killing it. Come on. No one has any questions? I got to get one. At least one. I'm going to be disappointed. Some interaction here. All right. Well, until then, suppose we can cycle through some of these pictures again. That right there is one of the most awesome shelf clouds I've ever seen. That was June 26th, 2020. And there are wildfires going on across the U.S. and the smoke and the atmosphere made the sunsets ridiculously pretty. And it just so happened in this case that a shelf cloud was approaching us right at sunset, which was enhanced by the smoke. So that's a really cool picture. I like that one. Anything, Coletta? Okay. Don't like snake. That's not uncommon. That's not uncommon. I totally dig snakes. I love snakes. I think they're awesome. All right. Well, if we don't have any questions, that's cool. I hope everyone had fun, and hopefully we'll do this again. And feel free to ask questions at any time, anytime, after the fact even. That's fine. We'll do our best to get back with you. Okay. Well, it sounds like everyone's satisfied there, so we'll conclude the talk and truly appreciate everyone attending, and have a great evening. All right. Goodbye.